Okay, so this last issue under matters is one that you guys, Dan, hello, we're trying to move forward here. This last one is one that I prompted having it put on as matters just because I wanted this to be something we all decided together. So that's why, and not just something CAC decided. So the question is whether when we take up co-ops at third reading, whether we want to have a public hearing. And I'm just going to go ahead and throw this out here. I'm going to start it off. I'm just going to say I am more than willing to do whatever folks want. I can sit to another hearing. That's fine. But a couple things is, one is I'm not sure that it's that helpful. I feel like we are fatiguing the heck out of the public. Both, what we know is that this is there's a lot of strong opinion. Both sides have very strong opinions. Both sides can fill the hearing room, and we have heard more on this issue than any other issue in a long time. So if there's more to be said, I want to hear it, but I also don't know how much more there is to be gained, how much more there is to hear than what has been shared. So that's the reason we talk a lot about how long these meetings go, and what it does mean is we will be deciding again late at night an important issue. And so that's the other reason is for us to tackle that earlier in the evening when we are fresh. And I feel like we have the information we need to decide. We would have done it if Andrew and Matt had been there. I think we would have made the hard decisions last time, and it would be on consent. But I am more than willing to have a public hearing. I don't know if it's the best use of our time or the public's time.
It's our fault.
Yeah, so
Yes, your fault.
yes, it is. It is your fault.
We would be done.
Okay, so that's just the opening bid, and I can go either way, but I'm not sure how much to be gained. Okay, Mary, Lisa.
So I would just like us to recall what we said when we started down this road, which was that we were going to use the legislative process to develop this ordinance, and the ordinance. And in doing so, we also said it may take 2 readings, it may take 3 readings, but we're going to do this process iteratively. And so I think that we need to stick by our word. I think that the ordinance changed quite a bit since the last time, and I personally would like to hear people's thoughts on those changes. And there were also, if you recall, a couple of council members missing that weren't able to weigh in. So I think we know that it's going to be painful and hard and long, but that's democracy. It's messy. It's not pretty. And yeah, it's painful, and this is part of what we signed up for as council members. Logging meetings, sometimes issues that don't seem to be local. So we signed up for it. We should do it. And I think that by not having another hearing, we would be sending a message that we don't want to hear what you think about what we did to the ordinance this last time. So I think we should hold another reading, public hearing. Okay.
So I will concur with Mary. This is this process that we've come down is very different than what we usually do. And also the ordinance as it stands has had a lot of changes. The last has been significant as well. I think a lot of people, as we've heard from the public, a lot of the public was not engaged at the beginning when this ordinance was moving forward. Certainly a lot of people on promoting the co-op ordinance were involved, but many who were not even aware of this and are only now becoming aware. I think it's abundantly clear that there's many, if you've looked at our emails, that there's many in the community who, it's not that they're necessarily against co-ops. I don't think they are against co-ops per se. I think they just want to have an opportunity to weigh in on these changes. And I think it's important that we listen to our constituents. I think not to hold a third public hearing would be a change from past procedures. Whenever we've made a significant change to an ordinance, we always have allowed another hearing. And while this particular issue is quite contentious and a lot of people have a lot of different perspectives, I think it's important and absolutely imperative that we hold a public hearing on January 3rd. So it is democracy and it is messy, but I think our constituents expect us to listen to all sides, and that's what that would allow them to do, us to do.
Okay, Bob?
I really hate what I'm about to say, but I think we should have a public hearing as well. My head says we've heard literally thousands of pieces of testimony, either in writing or in person, and we're very, very close. We need Matt and Andrew to weigh in on kind of one narrow occupancy issue, and I think we're really, really close. Tom's done a great job of writing up what we've decided, or not, we haven't decided, but we're narrowing in on. So I guess I'd be surprised if public testimony moves the needle one way or the other significantly. But with that said, there's a lot of mythology out there in the community about what this co-op ordinance is and is not, and what it does and does not. And I think if we went forward with a third reading without public testimony, we would just cement people's opposition. So I think as painful as it will be, and as much as it probably will not be a huge contribution to our ultimate decision, I think we should listen to public testimony one more time. And who knows, maybe some people will say something that will nudge things a little bit, but I would, do you want to make a motion?
Just go ahead and make a motion.
I will make a motion that we hold a public hearing, take public testimony on third reading with respect to the co-op ordinance.
Second.
Okay, we have Aaron and then Matt.
So, yeah, I think Bobby said it well. I think we're getting enough opposition to this. We don't want to hamstring the eventual potential success of the ordinance by denying folks another hearing. So as painful as it may be, I think it's the right thing to do. I would encourage us to, I don't know if we can do any messaging ahead of time about what our focus areas are that are left, and to encourage folks to address those and not to come out with broad statements about how wonderful co-ops are or about how they don't like them, but instead to focus in on the focus areas that we have left. So to whatever extent we can guide folks that way.
Matt?
Yeah, Bob, I hated what you had to say too, but you're right. I mean, our rule typically is that if there are significant changes on the X reading, that you have a public hearing on the next one. You could argue that most of the changes were things that were already kind of out there and were being discussed. Fair enough, and we've had a number of public hearings, which is a little unusual. But some of the changes were not really out there, at least not in the form that they're now potentially coalescing around. So I think we should do the public hearing. Yes, I agree with Aaron. As much as possible, we should encourage people to talk to us about just what's on the table. But you can't really stop people from saying what they're going to say because it's just impossible. You don't know where people are going to go with their next sentence anyway.
Okay, so how about we just vote? Let's just vote then.
I agree.
It sounds like I'm fine with that. I just wanted us all to own it. It's going to be another late night and no complaining, okay? I don't want to hear anything about long meetings. Okay.
It was Andrew's fault. Just remember that.
That's all right. It's totally fine, but people just, there's a cause and effect. So that's fine. So all those in favor?
We have comment?
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry. Public hearing. Does anybody want to speak to this? You already spoke to this.
Identify what the issues are that you do want feedback on.
Oh, anything, we did make a bunch of smallish changes, but what we did was tee up kind of the remaining big ones, which are caps, what the actual number should be, and whether they should be different for rental versus the other types of co-ops, and whether they should differ by zone districts. And then also, the new issue was whether lot size should also be an overlay that goes on top of that affects those caps. So those, I think, is there another one?
We put per square foot for people in there.
Okay, and that was...
We had consensus on those numbers, but
Right.
Okay, so those are the things we did not vote on. The thing that we did add, but would it be good to get feedback on that, is the 200 square foot per person in low density and 250 square foot minimum per person in medium and high density.
And I'll add.
It's the other way around.
You're right. Opposite of what I said, 250 in low density, 200 in medium and high. Thank you.
And I haven't watched it yet, that hearing, but I did hear from the public some disturbing comments that were made about the possibility of not enforcing occupancy limits going forward. And so to the extent that people want to comment on that, I encourage that as well.
Oh, and we did add Andrew's proposal about if you do an addition to your house that kicks it over the 2,000 square foot minimum limit, that there's a timeout before you can make it a rental co-op. Right now it's at 5. The proposal was 5 years, so people could weigh in on that. Okay.
Suzanne, all of those changes are available on the city's website, at the city attorney's website. The memo, the options, and a summary of all the changes is there.
Which was where I read it, and it was very good.
So if anybody wants to look at it.
Okay. So to the world out there in TV land, if you didn't hear what you just said, because you weren't leaning into your mic,
Sorry.
all of that is available on the city attorney's website.
Yes.
The draft as it now stands and the memo. Okay. So no public. We're going to close the public hearing. Sorry.
Can I say something if I'm the only public?
No, we just.
Well, you kind of already did, but go ahead.
Okay. I'm going to get really fast.
You need to introduce yourself.
Hi, Neshama Abraham, 1460 Quince Avenue. I'm just because I'm here.
Yep.
And I have really strong feelings about this one thing. I know there's great work that's been done on this, and Tom Carr, you have done an outstanding job. The last thing that was added in the December 6th proposed ordinance about the having a lot consideration, I just want to strongly request that is not included in what the past ordinance is going to look like, because it's just one more complication. It's one more, it restricts the number of homes available. We don't need it. We have enough other restrictions. And if we want this to really be used, don't make it any harder.
Okay.
That's it.
I'm going to cut you off because that's not what we're talking about, but thank you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's all right. We're talking about whether to have a third hearing.
Oh.
That's okay. Okay, we're closing the public hearing. If there's no more discussion, okay to vote? All those in favor of having a third hearing? It's unanimous. Okay, this is our last meeting before the holidays. So everyone have a lovely holiday.
Although we see each other next week.
Well, yeah, but
well, thanks everybody for a good 2016. This is my first year on council. It's been very rewarding, and I have great colleagues.
And it was
thank
so
you.
easy.
It was so easy.
okay. Any debrief of this meeting? Okay. Happy holidays.
Hey, Council.
Look at it this way. It can't get that much harder.